All right, well, let me pray and we'll get started. God, thank you for this morning. Thank you for just what you're doing in our cities and allowing us to be a part of this. And God, it's just so inspiring and motivating and exciting. It's challenging and hard, but there's so much satisfaction and joy that comes to helping make in our cities all that you want them to be. And so, God, I pray for our time, you lead and guide our time. In Jesus' name, amen. All right,
Man,
Danielle, over to you.
I'll take it away. Well, hello and good morning, everybody. It is good to be back. Good to see you guys. We are gonna jump in as usual into some breakout rooms. And so we are just gonna spend a couple minutes, just kind of introduce yourself to whoever you're in your breakout room with. And then we'd love for you to just kind of share just kind of one area that maybe you need some help in, maybe you'd love some advice. Um, and we'll just kind of see what happens in that little group and feel free to offer advice, to offer help. But we'll just kind of spend a couple minutes sharing that with each other. And then we'll come back and do a little something in our chat and in a little bit of response with each other. So, Jeff, if you've got it ready,
No,
take
but
us.
I'm
Oh,
trying.
you're working on it.
I got it. Okay, we're gonna have 6 rooms here. Let's
Okay.
see. Hey, everybody's coming back here. Hey, can y'all do this? Can you in the chat room, can you just type out real quick what areas you need most help? Like, for example, Danielle and I are planning the rest of this year, and we want topics to be topics that relate to what you need help. We just don't want to come up with ideas on our own. So if it's website stuff, if it's planning your kickoff, we're not calling it rally so much, we're calling it a kickoff. T-shirts, we Sarah brought up about t-shirts. If it's getting new projects or whatever the topics are that you want to see addressed in our meetings so that these meetings are relevant, these meetings are worth your time. Can you put that in the chat and put as many as you want in there? Then Danielle and I will go through it and then we'll plan out the rest of the year. So we have the best meetings we can have. And so, okay,
Meetings that matter, meetings that, I mean, all of them matter, but that you feel worthwhile and you come to and are excited. And so it matters to us. Um, okay. Speaking of the chat, actually, now I'm gonna move on, just for time's sake here. So I know that some of us had our spring volunteer days. Obviously, most of us had them in April, but then there were a few little outliers come around May. And so I know that Gina with Colorado Springs, you guys had yours, Laverne, Costa Mesa, Newport Beach. And we want to take just a couple minutes and celebrate you guys, and hear kind of some highlights, maybe any other ideas that you want to share that worked well for your city. And so Gina, I'm gonna have you kick it off. Just I was in a breakout with her, so we're already just going here. But you kick us off, and then if anyone else is kind of in that category of having their city volunteer day in the past month or so, I want to hear from you guys. But Gina, tell us.
Sure. So ours was May the 4th, and we used that theme a lot. May the 4th be with you. And so that was in our promo. We had lightsabers in all of our photos and stuff like that. So that was really fun. But yeah, we got great feedback. Again, the end goal is that people get connected longer term, and we do a project survey afterwards. And multiple projects said, I already had a volunteer come back. We had somebody sign up for our, like there was a group around foster care, and they said a family signed up for our team to be on our like care team. So that's always the end goal, is people getting connected. So we had a couple of small, like we don't do a large kickoff party, but we had a couple of small kickoff parties with individual churches. So that was really fun as well. And we got great feedback. I was telling Danielle, we got great feedback on, we do a volunteer survey as well. and no one said that like needs work on the sign up piece. So people thought it was easy to use, easy to sign up. So that is also always a win.
That is awesome. How is there anything specific that you guys think you do well as far as getting people to sign up again for like those specific volunteer organizations?
Well, we always ask the projects to reach out also with kind of like a thank you to the volunteers as well. And then we capture all the information. We send a thank you day of, like it's, prepared in advance. Thank you day of, 7 days out, 2 weeks out, and 30 days after our event. We respond again to volunteers, and then they go on our list for like future. And so we keep all of that data to continue to reach out to those same people, and also giving them ideas of like, here's what you can do next. Here's
Yeah.
something else happening in the city.
That's awesome. You're really communicating well with them. Seems to be the big piece. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing, Gina. Anyone else I'm trying to look through the room here. I know Raina, you guys had some. If not, Jeff, you can take it away, but I'll give one. Oh,
Hey, Danielle.
nope, you're
I
popping
love
on.
hearing from Raina. Yeah.
There you go.
Sorry, this time is hard for me. Yeah, Costa Mesa, Newport Beach highlights. For Costa Mesa, I've been working for years to try to get the Chamber of Commerce in the committee, and them being part of our committee was a game changer with business engagement, business sponsors. So I would say that one was very worth it. And then for Newport Beach, it's still very new. And so we actually, one of the highlights is our mayor gave one of our leaders who is an absolute prayer warrior. She prays for the city. She goes to city council meetings and pray. And you would think prayer is such a conflict with the city, but he found it to be really touching. And so he actually gave her a Good Helper Award and announced it in front of everybody. And she was so shocked, so surprised. And so, yeah, it was so cool to see her getting recognized at Newport Beach for our prayer efforts over the city.
That is really awesome. Wow. That's so cool. Was there anything specific, Raina, as far as like, I don't know, marketing, or maybe there was a really cool project that you'd want to share? Like, hey, this worked out really well.
Yeah, in Costa Mesa, we have a really phenomenal project leader who led like, gosh, it must have been like 8 different projects in his neighborhood. He has this huge passion for trees. And so he worked with the city arborist, he worked with local nurseries, and he worked with our foundation sponsor to get everything purchased to transform his neighborhood. And what's really cool about that project is that it was a project that was started last year. So we partnered him up with our foundation sponsor, and they have been transforming that neighborhood year round. And they just took it to a whole nother level on Love Costa Mesa Day. And
Wow.
that neighborhood in particular has a lot of gang violence, crimes, theft, very extreme low income. And so just to see the community rally together to uplift the community, and they planted fruit trees, they planted vegetables, they planted things that the community will care for and actually glean from. And many of them are going to be taken care of by the kids because the kids were able to participate with planting so many of the trees and the vegetables. And then Newport Beach, probably my favorite was a house for disabled women. And volunteers came in, they did simple tasks like window cleaning, they replaced some blinds, they planted flowers just to beautify their home.
Yeah.
And the women who lived there were extremely touched by this gesture.
I love that. Wow. That's amazing. That's incredible. Oh, thank you for sharing that, Raina.
Super, super inspiring, Raina. Man, that is awesome. Hey, just a reminder, keep putting topic ideas in the chat, and even year round. I mean, think about year round, maybe some ways that you can do more year round, how we can support you year round. And let's not, the one day a year is great, but it's not the end goal. It's the end goal is ongoing, continual pride and involvement and volunteerism in our cities here. Okay, let's talk website. So 16 years ago, when this thing first started, we didn't have a website. We just had hard copy signups. It was just the idea of just trying. Actually, we didn't have any signups at all. We just had people show up, and then it blew up, and they're like, "Holy cow, we got to have signups next time we do this." So we had hard copy signups, which is fine if it was just one church though doing this, so it could be contained. But then as soon as people from other churches and no church at all, and people other communities started coming, we had to figure out an online platform. And so our first attempt, and I can't remember the name of it. I mean, 15 years ago, what was that? It was like a elementary, there wasn't a lot of options out there, okay? But we manipulated one the best we could. It didn't work great until we came across a site called ServeDay, and my brother-in-laws, both of them they were in Costa Mesa, and they went to Rock Harbor Church down there, and then they had this event called ServeDay. And so when I was down there visiting them, man, I talked to the leaders of that, and so we adopted that ServeDay website. It was our first volunteer sign up. They didn't have the front end website; it was just the volunteer sign up page, and we used that for a little while. But a lot of the requests I was getting from you guys, from our city leaders, was, man, it'd be great if we had a front end website and the back end, the volunteer sign up all in one. That was a big deal. And we're like, well, how do we do that? And then my friend Nathan here in Anaheim, he had a friend who was building these kind of Kawasaki websites, and he's building a website for Nathan, and Jay and Fullerton was saying, hey, we need to get involved with this too. This is much more streamlined. It's much more just rather than this basic WordPress site and then this volunteer site that's just doing okay. So we followed their suit. They developed a website. We talked to a guy named Rob, super great guy. He eventually moved to Tennessee, but he developed this site, and we used for, I don't know, 7-8 years, and it was stable. It still works. I mean, it was just a great site for us, and it was hard for a lot of us to transition because we got so used to that site. But it had limitations, and one of them was it had more of that 90s look. That's what we kept feeling results from you guys. Is like, man, it looks like, can we make it a little more modern? And he wasn't able really to make it much more modern than what it was. And then the big kicker was we wanted to be more year round. I mean, that's what I hear from you all, and that's what we all want, is not just a one day a year, but we wanted throughout the year. Is there ways to post products throughout the year? And on that site there was, but it wasn't originally built for that. And then the big kicker was the app. We wanted to develop an app that would go hand in hand with the website, and that is something that he just could not do. And you could hire outside, but it would be potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars that obviously we don't have. So here we are now, and you're going to hear from John a little bit. I'm going to let him kind of share more how he got involved and where he started at. And he captured the heart of who we are. He has that same heart, but he also captured the vision of what a site could look like that could be both in one. It's a learning curve for all of us still. I mean, new technologies, just even this breakout room thing. I'm trying to figure this thing. If you don't use it all the time, you lose it, right? And I think that's sometimes, I think, with our websites. If we just have a once a year volunteer day, you forget about it throughout the year when it's time to engage back in it again. So I think another advantage of going year round is we're in touch with our websites throughout the year, which I think is the goal here. So I'm going to hand it over to Danielle, and I'm going to have you transition to John here and how we're going to do this.
Awesome. Yeah. And so like Jeff was saying, I mean, there was a need for a little bit more of a modern website, something that we could customize more. And like he said, we are super blessed by John and his abilities. And we are still constantly learning and also trying to make the website as best as it possibly can. And so I actually wanted to share something with you guys first, just to kind of say, hey, we are working on this. I think I'm good. All right. You guys can all see the resource page right now, right?
Yes.
So before I jump into that, so this Excel sheet is a sheet that has been uh being worked on consistently between John and I. And these are all, they come from the different surveys that come in, they come from emails, and just, hey, these are the updates that we want to make. And then this sheet here was just from the last survey from a couple months ago that came in. And so just kind of wanted to show you guys, number one, we hear you. And number two, we are working hard to make sure that this website is the best that it can possibly be. And so wanted to share that with you guys. And I know John is actually going to go in depth to a few of these things because we wanted to show you, hey, these are the updates that John has made in the past 3 weeks that we're doing and working on. But then again, kind of wanted to review a little bit of our resource page here. And you can find this resource page on the City Leaders page, but also I don't know about you guys, but I just have it pinned on my browser here. It just makes it way easier. And so I pin it, but we've made a couple updates here as well, is that you can see for those of you that are maybe you can read this stuff, but it still doesn't make any sense. I'm kind of that way. I'm much more of a visual person. I'm auditory. And so we've actually just added the links to the YouTube pages directly to, hey, we want to add your first event. There's the YouTube video plus all of the verbiage on adding that if you want to learn that via reading. And so just, we wanted to make sure that this is as easy as possible for you guys, while also knowing there's a learning curve and we're still working through some of the quirks, but we are truly doing our best and working through that. And so now I'm going to actually kind of hand it over to John, and to share kind of some more of those updates and kind of just more in depth. But we really want to share how much we value John too, like just from Jeff and I, how much we value him. And he's not just, our website guru. He is, but he's also a part of our Love Our Cities team, and he's a part of this family. And the guy is, I actually know John personally. He lived up in Washington for a long time. And he's just crazy good at everything that he does, and it's wild. And so John, before you get into the website stuff, I'd love for you to just kind of share who you are, talk about Noah and Sarah and like just you as a human. And then we can just kind of jump into the website updates as well. So go for it.
Awesome. Well, it's good to be with you guys this morning. Sarah's my wife, Noah's my son. No, I have a 5-year-old son, and we live here in Bakersfield in California. But yeah, I'm a lead pastor. That's what I do full time. And I was up in Washington with Danielle and Snoqualmie, and we had a mutual friend who came to us and said, "Hey, I've heard of this thing in Modesto. What do you think?" And I said, "Yeah, let's do it." And we just had a blast, just learning and getting to know Jeff and the system. And I was one of the probably many that were saying, "Jeff, this website's awful. It's great, it's got potential, but we need to make it look like it's in this century." And yeah, so that started the long conversation of this. I've been working with churches and nonprofits for over 15 years, doing websites and designing all sorts of stuff. And so I just started saying, "Jeff, if you need help, let me know." And when we transitioned over here to Bakersfield, that conversation happened actually pretty quickly after that of Jeff saying, "Okay, it's time to make some changes. Enough people are throwing their hands up, and and what would it look like to start moving forward?" And so that's how we got involved with Love Our Cities. I love the mission. I love the idea of just taking this message of Christ's love in a new way and impacting it in literal serving and partnering with people who have the same kind of heart and mission. And yeah, so it's just been fun to create a system, and I appreciate everyone's grace as we have been learning and changing and trying to pivot and all those kinds of things. And so yeah, was that enough, Danielle? Okay.
That was enough. Yes.
Awesome. All right. Good. All right. Well, we have made quite a few updates in these, especially this year, and so I'm just going to hit most of those, and then I think we're going to take a few moments and just ask if there's any questions or other ideas that you guys have been thinking about and so on, and we'll kind of go from there. But I'm going to share our test system here, and we'll go from there. Maybe. Bear with me. My Zoom had to be totally re-downloaded this morning, and I don't know what's going on. Okay.
Is it working for you, John?
Maybe.
You trying to share the screen?
Yeah.
I shared it with you. You should have access.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's it. All right, maybe. I might have to have you share it, Danielle. Let's see.
Okay.
This
I can
stuff
do that.
happens to me, John. This never happens to you.
Right.
This stuff happens to me all the time.
Awesome.
Here we go. Okay.
Is it working?
30 more seconds. Let's see.
Okay. Well,
It's like when you go to attend a church that you haven't been to, and they have issues, and it makes you feel better about yourself, right? Oh, here we go. All right.
there you go.
All right. So I'm just going to walk through some of these pages, and we'll see what talk through some of these changes. But one of the things we have done is we have on our contacts page, we've added a waiver column, and so this is a quick and easy way for you guys to see who has a current waiver. If their waiver hasn't been signed for the current year, it'll just be empty. But many of you have asked also to be able to manually mark that waiver as signed. So you can come through and just mark that waiver that it's been submitted. They filled out a paper waiver, something like that, and then it'll just timestamp it for the current time that it's been marked. So an easy way just to track your contacts, track your volunteers, those sorts of things of who's filled out that waiver, and so on. Good. For our projects, we have added is our test status, so sometimes it gets funky, but we have, let me go over to Danielle's. One of the things that one of the things that's been asked is just clear communication about icons and what do they mean, and some of those sorts of things. And so we have added in what's called a tooltip to help show exactly what that icon means, what it does, and those sorts of things. And so that that will help show you guys exactly what that does, what it's supposed to do, and so on. And so when you're coming over, it's like our view icon or feature, you hide it, email, edit, those sorts of things. So just helping remind you, because often there's a lot of icons, and everyone has their opinion, right, of what icon does what. So that'll help in those sorts of ways. When you're editing a project, one of the things that's been asked is being able to adjust the placement of the photo, right? When you're viewing a project in that big header, before it was just defaulting to the center. And so, you know, being able to change if it's using the top of the image or the left of the image, those sorts of things. And so you can change the photo position. Again, it'll default to center, but you can use the different placements to be able to push that photo around of where it's cropped and those sorts of things. We also, this year, we've added this status not only to current projects, but also suggested projects as you're adding them. So you can, if someone suggests a project, you can have it in draft status right as you publish it, and so it's hidden right away versus being automatically, you know, published to your site. Good. Yeah, let's go over to suggested projects. Suggested projects got one of the more larger overhauls this year, and it, you know, in conjunction with some of our new forms. This whole workflow is going to work, I think, a lot better for you guys. It's going to be a little bit more clear. It's going to work very similar to adding a project in that sort of way. It's going to open up that big project form. You're going to be able to fill in any of the details that weren't submitted or need to be adjusted. And then once you submit it, again, you have that status and you can submit it in that sort of way. It's also going to retain so if we deny a project, it's going to retain that project in here. It's not going to remove it. Because sometimes people submit multiple projects or there's duplicates, whatever it is. So you're going to see which ones that you have denied, as well as if you add a project, it's going to show that history here. That's going to make me do some things here, but. Right. Yeah, it'll also do the same kind of thing and have it as a green box. So again, clear to know which projects you've added, which ones you've denied, and which ones are still pending. Good. Oh, and we've also added the timestamp. That was the reason I came here, was to so we know exactly when it was submitted in that sort of way. Cool.
Yeah.
Hey, John,
Yeah.
on that suggested project with the marking it as whatever, does that notify the person that suggested it, or is that just all internal for us?
All internal. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And John, can you, that project you denied, can you, is there a way to go back to make it approved again? Or even delete it completely if it's just if it's crowding up your page?
Yeah. That's a good question. No. but it can be, yeah, maybe that's something that can be easy to ask to add. We can do it where we can clear out the denial of the project if you still wanted to use it. Yeah. You do still have
really
access.
wants to get rid of some of those project suggestions.
He does. Yeah.
John, I'm gonna hop in just real quick too. So I know one of the newer things too was just our forms, and that I think has been a huge game changer for a lot of cities. And if you have a fall volunteer day, maybe you haven't really dug into the new forms. So John, will you go into settings and just go on a form?
I wasn't planning on going there yet, Danielle.
Oh, I'm sorry. You can jump in there then.
No, you're fine.
I'll be quiet.
Yeah, so earlier this year we released addition to this new way we build the forms. Before we had it just the custom contact fields or the custom project fields, some of those things, and there was just some confusion around the different kinds of forms and how it all worked. And so we tried to just make it really clear. Here are all your forms, here are all the fields, which ones you can add and which ones you can't. So under settings, under forms, you'll see all the forms that we have that are connected to your front end website. And so you can add custom fields and adjust certain ones on your forms in that way. It's like our contact us form. you're going to see certain fields that have that don't have any options. These are the fields that you can't change. We need them to be there. We have to collect it. Those sorts of things. There's not very many of them often, but like a contact us form, minimum, we have to have their name and email to be able to do what we need to do. And then you can edit, you can delete, you can add different options, just like we did before for each of those fields. We've also added this this little icon that just helps let you know that you can reorder these fields. Just drag and drop, and it will update the sort order.
Awesome.
Yeah, again, lots of fields, like your create account form. We're going to have all the required information. One of the things we're starting to see happen, especially around the create account, is people are adding in first name, last name, and stuff on the custom fields, not realizing that those were already there. So we're able to see all the fields that are already on your form. You can, and then if you're like, I don't want an address, you can delete that. If it's a required field that we have to have, or that we have in the system automatically, it'll just kind of gray out. It won't show on the form on your front end. But then if you ever decide, I want to add that back in, I can just add it back in quickly. But if it is a custom field that you've added and you delete it, it'll go away, and then you can re-add it as needed. All of those fields as well, we've added a dynamic capability for them. So we can dynamically hide and show fields based on input from other fields. So let's say you're asking if they have, I don't know, if let's just say if they want to say, do you want a t-shirt? And they say yes. And so you're going to say, okay, if whatever this field is yes, then it's going to show this field, right? And so you can dynamically hide and show different fields based on different input in that sort of way.
Awesome. Hey, just based on time, we're gonna move on a little bit, but I wanted to also note a few things just from our sheet that came in that John is still working on. We're working on a search bar for the front end for the project, so people can look through that. He's working on some better email capability. Would that be the way to describe that, John?
Yeah. So yeah, can I take 30 seconds real quick?
Yes.
Because I have an update for that. So we did update some of the email capabilities here for you. So when we're going in through and sending emails, what we've done is trying to help show you guys what's been sent, what's been received, all those kinds of things. And so we have added a few more options here in the different target audiences that you can select, as well as just saying, I want to do an event, and I can select an event and email just those volunteers. But when you send those, you'll see we have an email drop down here now. You're gonna have your email settings, which you've had before, your email log, which is going to be any email sent through the system, automated or through the bulk. But you're going to have this report button. That report button is going to tell you exactly how many, if it's been delivered, if it's been opened, and how many clicks have happened on the email. And that's for, again, automated or
I see some excited faces about that one.
Yes,
or campaigns. But this is the new page, email reports. So anytime you send a bulk email through the system, you're emailing all your volunteers, your registered volunteers, those sorts of things, you're going to see that campaign that happened here. You can see the email that was sent, and then you can also see a report. That report is going to drop in every email that was sent, if it was delivered or not, again, if it was opened, clicked, and then you can see those further details of when it was processed, delivered, opened, all the different actions, events that have happened for that email. Yeah, so if someone's like, I didn't get it, you can actually pull it up and say, actually it was delivered, it's probably in your spam, and it'll actually tell you if it went to their spam. And so some of those kinds of things. So a lot of dynamic, a lot of data, right, that you're able to access now for those sending campaigns. All right, Danielle, it's yours back.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, so that's great. That's new to me as well. So that's really awesome. John, thank you. Thank you for just all the work that you've been putting into this for a year and a half now, and continue to put in. I know it is 8:44, and so just kind of out of respect for your guys' time, I think and Jeff, totally correct me if I'm going off here, but we'll close in prayer. But if you've got questions or other suggestions or things that you want to continue to see change or be added, stay on the call. And Jeff and myself and John will stay on as well. But Jeff, do you have anything else to add there?
I do. So a couple
Okay,
things. So
sorry.
John, I saw that new button on the upper right corner, new updates. Is that on everyone's page right now that you can literally see the new updates that you've done?
Yeah, you can see the full list of everything that we've released this past year. Yep.
Awesome. So that'd be good. And second thing, Danielle, you've got it. Can we see pictures of
yeah.
Eleanor? Danielle's been on maternity leave for a while, had a baby, and we want to see Eleanor if we can.
Of course.
Mom and grandma won't. Oh, okay. Oh,
Here
there.
we go.
Oh my goodness.
There she is.
Oh yeah.
So this is Eleanor Ann, and she'll be 4 months on the 10th. She's pretty cute. I don't know, but I know I'm biased.
Yeah, I don't know if you gathered anything from the rest of the meeting, but this right here was worth it right here. This is what it's all about. Very, very cool.
Yes, there she is.
You just want to keep it up there, Danielle, don't you? You don't want to take
I'm just, I'll leave it there for a minute. No, I'll stop sharing.
Very cool. All right. So if you got to go. If you want to stay on and to hear more updates from John or ask questions, you're welcome to stay on. But I'm going to stop the record. Everyone, have a great day today. Oh, that's going to end the call. So how do I stop the record?
Don't do that.
There it is. Yeah, I did that.